Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the Kai Schuler Project, where, if you remember last time, he did a couple small changes here and there in this area. So, in a way, if last time was episode 100, if I popped out there, then you can think of this episode as Fabricking 101. In that we're going to see if we can try to make what we have here look a little more presentable. We got the big stuff done. It's time to start adding some of the details and whatnot to this to help bring it to life. Now, it can only come so far to life. A lot of this is going to be done in the paint job. It's going to make this look good, but we will do what we can to get this. We can bring back our MVP from last time, which is our pasta roller, and I think we're going to start with the collar. Get the collar done, then we can do kind of the edging along the sides. I'm pointing at stuff, neither the screen nor is the camera pointed at the model, so let's not do that right now. Just going to send this through a couple times, get everything kind of nice and good and neat. Alright, should be last time. We're in there, we looking good. Not seeing air pockets, that's a good sign. And we can bring her in, and this is, in a way, this is all kind of a big experiment, because at this point, I'm not going to be taking this off until it's hardened. So we're going to hope in the end, once this shell becomes hardened, I will be able to lift it off and out of place and out of here without causing any kind of problems. So we're going to go and move the head out a little bit, and we're going to widen this neck a little bit here. Again, right at the end of last time I popped this one top piece on, so let's go and give ourselves a chance to get that off. Now again, at least we're not hooked onto the model itself. We do have our protective layer on here, which should be kind of helpful. Okay, we have this, and unlike most times, I don't want to do necessarily a straight line for this collar, so I'm going to just kind of eyeball out what I'm looking for. And this is when we pop it up here, it's now angled out a little bit. It's not going straight up. It's going to give it giving this a little bit of a curve. When we attach it, it's going to give that a little bit of a curve going out, which is, again, kind of what we're looking for. Let's see. All right, my watch is going. Good. I don't know why I was worried about that. Okay, that said, we are a little thick. We are a little thick. We are a little thick. We are a little thick, which is kind of what we want. Because I feel like it's easier making this thinner than making it thicker if it's one way or the other. And that's not looking too bad. Let's get you to kind of go in there. You're going to kind of come out, and what is our head? Okay, so our head's kind of coming down into it, which is kind of what we're looking for. Maybe just take a little bit off of that. That said, I kind of like that little temporary hat I put on that guy, so I think we're just going to, if you don't like it, well, I'm sorry, but I think I'm just going to keep that. To me, it looks good, and I might as well keep this looking good. Cut you off. Okay, and now it's time to get some of this clay to kind of hook in here. Yeah, my hope is at the end of this session I should be close enough to get kind of hardening phase so that I can then do that again off camera. Maybe at some point in time I will probably do I might do another hardening on camera, although I'm running out of things to harden on here. It's just it's so much easier for me to touch things up off camera and kind of get into final kind of smooth mode, that I prefer doing it off camera when possible. Okay, I know you can't really see what's good. That's not the thing I wanted to... Oh, look at that. Now I can really get this thing in my face so I can't see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is just trying to merge the two clay pieces together. Up. That was awkward. Yes, this is being recorded about an hour after I did the other one. I'll be honest, I'm kind of seeing this got me a little more excited, so I kind of wanted to get back here and do this next session as soon as possible, because yeah, this is one of those big parts, and it's fun seeing it kind of come together. Come on, head, get on there. Hey, there we go. Yeah, so I can kind of bend that down. I can kind of flop you up. So we wind up with a little something going on here. We are not connected at all in the back. That's super cool. I have you. Are you better kind of getting this together? I feel like on the inside we're pretty good, on the outside we are not. Oh, that got the outside. That got the outside. I'm just going to crimp the edge just a little bit. Again, just to make it look like it's not as thick as what it is. Now, just so the face doesn't get lost in here, we want to have the front kind of tilted down just a little bit. Otherwise, it kind of blocks the head. Otherwise, we have kind of that going. I might need to add just a little more to the back to make this back come up just a little bit. Which, I mean, I could add you to it. Once again, this is one of the nice things with clay, as opposed to carving. Sculpting versus carving. If you take too much off, I can always add it back. If I'm doing this out of wood, this becomes problematic. Alright, there we go. Let's kind of retouch up these edges so it looks like it's supposed to be doing what it's doing. And a little on this side. Nope, don't get stuck to the rest. Alright, let's get these loose pieces out before they become problems. They will become problems. Alright, so we actually should blend the... Although once the hair goes on here, we're never going to see that back edge. I think as a profile, that looks a little better that way, having that little higher in the back. Come on. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like... I think I'd shoved in, there are probably multiple holes in there. So, okay, that's already looking a little better. So, with that, we're just a little over 10 minutes in. We already have visual progress. Score. Oh, so now it's time to put kind of the fringe areas all along everything. Now, there are two ways I can think of really doing that. Is I can score along the edge, along the outside, and kind of crimp the side, or I can take a thin piece of this and just kind of place it along the sides to get that done. I think I'm going to do that. It'll add a little bit of stiffness to it, and I can make these guys all 100% kind of uniform in size when I do it this way. That said, I do want to make this thin. I don't need these lines to be super thick on here. So I'm going to set you down to a 3 right now, and we're going to see how that feels. Okay, so let's see. What do we need? I need a big old straight edge this time. Okay, that said, these are going to be actually very, very thin. I could almost use just the edge of this, but I almost feel like that might be too thick, so I'm just kind of going by what I feel like this might be on this, and we'll just kind of see how that works. Okay, so the edging, so we're going to have one edging piece that comes all the way up here. That feels not too bad. It kind of gets into that and stops right at the top. Comes off. I can take this. We can add all it's going to take is a light blend on this to get those two to kind of go together. Yeah, again, there's only so much good this is going to do. Again, this is going to be a very paint-heavy element. So we're just doing what we can on this to make it work as best we can. Alright, we're going to have that be just a little bit long. A little bit long is okay. And again, I can... Well, this actually wound up being pretty good. Let's see. Nope, 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 nope. Come on, get in there. Get in there. We need you to be good. And again, as with last time, some of these details may look a little, ultimately may look a little rough in the end of this section. I will go and smooth stuff out further afterwards. So if it looks kind of rough, like on the edges of these where things kind of come together, I will smooth some of those things out before hardening. Okay, got that out. Let's go and blend those. Blend that. Yeah, right now everything is like extremely fragile. Once it gets hardened, again, the folds and whatnot in here are going to bring it back and keep it in a good place. Now we do have buttons and stuff that go on in here as well. I'm gonna not worry about that yet. Although I probably need to enlarge the chest a little bit on that. I'm not super concerned with like doing anything on the chest on this. I think it works on this without really doing. What I did do is I did do a couple folds off the front here to come down, and that at least gives the idea of the chest coming over. I know you want to have that kind of feminine quality on this, but I'm not super concerned. That's not a huge priority. I'm thinking it looks fine as is actually right now, so I'm not going to push it. Okay, next we have going up here. Now again, there are going to be the little square parts on here for the, yeah, we're not dealing with that yet. One thing at a time. All right, let's make sure we're starting kind of at a straight place again. Or something like that. Don't hit my finger. Do not hit my finger and do dumb stuff. Okay, so you're going to be coming up and around here. So let's get you off. I need that to kind of go in. We do want that to merge in there. And this is actually doing a pretty good job of now highlighting the different areas on this, which I think is really, really good and useful for this. Let's get my finger back here just so we have something to kind of back it up against. And I can cut that off. And there we go. Alright, so we're getting little things that will hopefully build up to become good things as we go. Alright, next strip. We're going to be doing this for another few minutes. We're about halfway there before we can start the next detailing part. Okay, we're gonna start with that. You know what? I'm gonna do that side after. I'm gonna bring you down. Over there. Alright, just going to try to push it in place there a little bit, and let's get some of the basic stuff done here. Merge that with this one. Thankfully, I don't need to put striations or stuff on this. So this should look a little neater in the end. Unlike the straps I did down here, where I kind of did on camera. I should have done that stuff off camera. I could have done, I think, a better job of that off camera, which would have been nicer for the... You may have missed stuff, but I think it would have helped the final product if I had done that part off camera, but whatever. I'm not super concerned. Again, the joy of making these things is not necessarily the finished product per se, but it's just fun to make them. Because again, if anybody ever asks, like, what's your favorite model you ever done, usually it's... I want to say I watched somebody play a game called Hobbs Barrow before. It's a kind of a point and click one, and about an archaeologist who goes and explores the barrows around kind of like mounded kind of burial, well, mounds kind of in the English countryside. It's like one of the older kind of point and click adventures, and they're at one of the inns, and one of the patrons of the inn asks the main character what their favorite project is they've worked on, and she looks up and goes, well, the latest one. And that's kind of stuck with, because yeah, generally it comes to any of these models, you kind of go, which ones are always your favorites or whatnot. It generally comes down to the latest one. So this one is feeling really good about right now, but the second I start the next model, that one's going to take over, and this one kind of goes in the background. So some of the details and things that don't wind up being perfect in the end, really, you realize I'm not super hemmed up on. I'm okay with that. It's nice. It would be nice maybe to have like one model I go for where I really do go all out and just get everything, try to be perfect. But at the same time, that's not what I'm going for when I do these. Not everything will wind up being perfect. I'll try to show how to do as well as I can on these, but just being as things are done on camera, just being how this operates and how everything kind of has to work in the end, that's not what I'm going to get hemmed up on. I will do as good as I can, but perfection is not necessarily what is driving these projects. Because there's always a prospect for the next one to be the thing that's going to make it and be all good. And that kind of helps drive the interest. Okay, that's one more on here. Is this one long enough to kind of make it up? I think it is. I think you are. So let's use you. Up. Come on, stop bending. Okay, there we go. Okay, we getting there. Where are we at? 25 minutes. That's actually gone by pretty expediently. We will probably get at least a start on all of these kind of detail things, and then when we come back in the next session, we are going to see if we can, if I do harden this between sessions, it is going to be interesting to see if I can actually pull this thing off and not have it break, have it be a nice solid shell and be good. That would be amazing. Because right now I'm just crossing my fingers it's all going to work in the end. This is more of a theoretical construct at the moment than, oh, I've done this a million times. Sure, that's how it works. Like, no, we are working on theory that this whole thing is going to work out nice. This kind of feels like my day job, where I've been building stuff for 20 years now. Feel like I've seen everything, but somehow pretty much every single project I go to, there's at least one thing we go, well, never done that before, never seen this before. And you look all professional doing stuff, you sound all good when you're doing it, but you're like a duck treading on water. Your feet are going like crazy underneath the surface, but your client, you're like, oh yeah, that's easy. We can deal with this. And in my back of my mind, I'm going, all right, how do we do this? What's going on? How can I apply stuff I've done before to this new situation I've never seen before? It works in the end. It will always work in the end, but every now and again you have to go and do something new. Haven't had to do a big kind of piece like this in quite a while, really since the Marissa one, which didn't actually turn out too well. So on camera it might have looked good, but in real life there are a lot of air pockets in that cape. It's kind of a hot mess. Okay, I'm not going to do too much of that on camera. I just want to get a little bit of that. But again, it'll give a little bit of something to the edge, which may or may not help strengthen it in the end. Although that's going to be based on how well it's attached to the piece. Alright, so we're almost done with this section. One more side to go. Let's see, I probably want you coming back just a little bit more. Okay, good. That's a little longer than we need. That's perfect. Yeah, and one thing with fabric is I tend not to do, at least if I'm using big pieces, I don't go nuts on trying to make folds. One or two key folds is really all we need. This is too thick to be doing a lot of kind of undulation, a lot of like really fine undulations in. So that is one of the drawbacks of using the clay as a medium for doing kind of fabric stuff, is you can mold in a lot of folds. If I were to add clay to this, I can add a lot of kind of fold stuff, but just making folds itself out of this material, I can only really go so far, just because the thickness of the clay itself will limit that ability. Okay, that's off. Let's get you mixed in with you guys. That goes up and whoa, that did not work. That one did not work. Let's get you in there. Nope. Oh, and it's so far away from my face because I don't want to mess up the piece I have yet to cut for the other strip. Okay, I think I can still do that. So I can bring you up and in. Okay, there we go. I'm a little funky right at the top there. There we go. So that looks like nothing happened. Perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. All right, hopefully last one of these, assuming all goes well. Whoop. Okay, you're getting stuck on. Good. Good, good. Once it starts to get stuck on, then I feel I can like breathe a sigh of relief. Like, all right, nice. Until you kind of push it in that first time, and it actually holds. Because again, this has weight, and we'll pull it off the edge. So until you get it, and it actually kind of does what it's supposed to. It's a little bit of pins and needles. Okay, that's off on there. While I'm kind of down here, let's get you out of the way. Let's blend that. We have a good point going on right there. Let's make sure we still have that point kind of going there. Now once again, we're a little farther up than we need. So we pull you off. Separate that just a teeny bit. Just so I can get that to kind of go underneath. Okay, and with that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut you into a couple of different pieces, just so you're smaller and I can kind of put you on the side. And all of this nonsense we have back here, let us rewrap this up. We don't need. Let's get that in the mix. And as we get onto this side, let's cut off some of this junk stuff that got moved up on here so that we can have just a couple of flat sheets. A couple of flat sheets here that are the same thickness that are available to do, because some of these little areas, or some of these spots, do have little detail things going on. So that was awkward. So apparently, when I went to change the image on the side, I accidentally hit the stop record button. So you just saw me put on all the things here. What you missed in the last 20 minutes was I put on the little kind of details on the side. We have a little kind of chevron piece on the bottom. We have the diamonds. Whoop. We had gone and popped on the side down here. We have another one on the back, ready to go with a couple dots on the back here, which if we go back to this image, you can see we have that going on, and there are two little dots that kind of go inside the red portion there. We have another one on the bottom here. And like I said, we have the buttons that go up the front. So I don't know what happened. I just pushed the wrong button. Apologize for that. But you didn't miss super much in terms of that. It's basically we used the scraps I had left over from making these lines here, so everything was the same width, and we just kind of cut out little pieces and pop them on. So whoops-a-doodle on that one. We're just going to file that under things happened. I'm not sure how I hit the button, but somehow it did. So at this point, like I said, I'm going to be doing some things off camera just because it's easier when the camera here isn't right in front of my face and isn't in the way. Kind of smooth some of these areas out. I may play a little bit with some of the folds just to make sure this all works. When I take it off and harden it, I'll be able to come straight off and on. And next time, once this is hardened, I come back here, our focus is going to be on, that is the worst view to be doing this with. We're going to be doing the shoulder kind of guard kind of stuff down here. And maybe if it feels like this is too plain, I can add more folds on top of this after it's hardened to make the chest area kind of look a little more pronounced. But I'm not really sure that's super necessary. But it's on the docket as something to consider when I get back there, or when we come back to this next time. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know what happened. Sometimes just hit the wrong button. And I guess the cursor just wound up starting on the wrong place. So that's where that is. And, well, I already said it once, but you missed it last time. But until next time, enjoy. Hey there, welcome back. Just wanted to, didn't plan on doing this, just want to show one little problem that occurred with what the situation we deal with when it comes to actually hardening this guy. So this is now sometime later. If you hear laundry going in the background, it's just what it is. So cleaned this up, went to harden it, and we had slight little mishap that I didn't quite take into account in that the rim here is hitting the top, so technically this is the tallest model I've ever done, as it doesn't actually fit inside this. I actually had to take the tray out and drop it as low as possible, and it just kind of makes it through, but I have to bend it around to get into place here. And just to give you an idea of what that turns into in the end, is when we got it, we did wind up a little crispy up top, which that's fine. This is going to be hidden. This is going to be covered by the hair. It's in the back. This is why we always do the front first when I do this, and then I turn it around. This is also why I like keeping things lower in here rather than higher. But because this comes down so far, I kind of had to have them stand up here to make this all work. And yeah, that did happen. Now that said, I let this cool sitting in here, so I haven't actually taken it out. And I haven't been able to see if this comes off nice and easily. So while I have you here, let's go ahead and try that. How did I do this? Come in down. We're out. Okay. So let me get the tray out of here. And let's see if this wants to come off nice and easy or at all. Or let's see, I can take, you don't need preventative measures on the legs. I can take those off. Okay, we're coming with the upper body. That's fine for right now. We don't need this anymore. Kind of wish this was coming a little easier. All right, so we got a little tight. So we probably got a little tight on the chest. I don't want to push too hard on this because this is a hollow shell and it would make it kind of fragile. I feel it kind of coming. Oh, this is not what I wanted. Okay, so it's not caught on there, so it means this under layer got stuck on the chest, which is kind of one of those things I feared was going to happen. But that's okay. We can make that work. Alright, it's off. We did it. And now, in theory, if I don't have this on, that will make life even easier later on. But we do have a hollow shell. It needs... I'm probably going to go in, because I couldn't get my fingers in here really hard, and I might just do a bead of glue along with some of these seams just to make sure this is attached to that. But it does come on and off. It did demonstrate... Oh yeah, that's a little better. So without that in there, it does come on and off, which we didn't see. So if we're standing here, the arms are in. This does come on and off. Yes, again, we're a little crispy in the back, but that's not a problem. And now I could have cut the little metal piece here, but that would have given a short-term gain for what I think is a long-term. I want that longer just to kind of keep the head steady in here, but no, we got it. We now have this solid shell. Again, that's going to be painted in the end, so it doesn't matter. But we in there. And this was one of the more harrowing times I've ever had to harden this. So this is good, which means now next time we can go full bore on the detail here, and we'll see where we go from that point. But yeah, just wanted to show that off, and until then, enjoy.